Okay, I am assuming this thing is working. I had some issues, nothing but issues for a while now. So hopefully this thing is working. Everything looks like it's working on this end. This is my first foray into YouTube. I usually stream on Twitch, so things are a little bit easier. But we're gonna do a little YouTube streaming. Hope you guys are having a great night out there. And all that good stuff, and staying safe as always, trying to stay sane and all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Welcome to Bottom Run Gaming. I am the Joseph Dillon, and today we're kind of doing, as I said, this is my first foray into YouTube. Everything should be working correctly, but I obviously I've never done a live stream on YouTube as of yet, I don't believe. And so therefore, I don't know if everything is set right. It's a work in progress, but for those of you who have never visited the channel before, I welcome you all. Tonight we're gonna be doing something a little bit different to kick off the festivities of this channel on YouTube. We're going to be playing Baldurs Gate 3. However, I have some individuals, some friends out there who are looking to learn to play Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So if you've played Baldurs Gate 3, you are fully well aware of this game being based off of 5e D&D. If you're a D&D fan, you're even more aware of it. I've been playing D&D for over 10 years, so I'm a little well-versed in this game and the mechanics of this game. So, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing a full playthrough, obviously. And, we're also going to be taking our time through it, for individuals out there who have never played, either Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe you want some tips. Some tricks, maybe you want to learn a few things, or if you're looking to get into D&D, 5e D&D, if you maybe played this game and it's got you turned on to D&D, this might be the little bit of a tutorial for you. So hope you guys will join me, and like I said, we're going to take it easy, we're going to take it slow. Try to get it where, you know, it's supposed to be. As I said, hopefully everything is working correctly. I believe the game is working correctly. All game footage is coming from the Xbox Series S, by the way. And no, I don't want that. That's the wrong one. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this, because I don't know why it's not deleted. There we go. Make sure all my options are set to where they need to be for this game. It shouldn't have changed, because this is where I usually stream from. I'm usually on Twitch, by the way, for anybody who wants to come over and check us out over there. TJD _ Bottom Run Gaming, I believe, over on Twitch. It could be Dot. I'm not sure. I don't even remember my own Twitch name. That's about normal for me. We're going to turn the Karmetic Dice off. That's number one. Karmetic Dice is basically a tool in Baldur's Gate 3 to make it so that you can't roll tons and tons and tons of crap rolls in a row. And that's not tabletop D&D, so we're going to make sure that's turned off. I mainly wanted to make sure all of the no options are turned off. Primarily the nudity and all that jazz. Like we need no tutorials and blah 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 blah. I Auto select character after combat. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. I think that's it. I'll turn my north-facing mini-map on because that makes it a lot easier for me. That's where I'm gonna leave subtitles on. Awesome, there we go. Perfect. All right, so let us jump into a new game. There's a couple of things before we get into the actual D&D aspect of this. We're going to, I want to point something out for people that they probably already know because I'm way behind the times. But if you don't know and you're playing this game, you're probably like me and you went in here and chose one of these difficulty levels and just went with it because you wanted to jump into the game right off the bat. And you may have got your ass handed to you quite a few times trying to play on tactician or maybe in honor mode. There's a couple aspects of this game that got me really heated, and one of which was stealth and the sneak attack functions and stuff like that that D&D should be having, and all that. So I want to point out something for you. We're going to go in here and we're going to create custom settings for this game. Enemy aggression, we're going to turn all the way up to tactician because we want the enemies to be a little aggressive. Tactician means that the enemies are going to come after the weakest members of the party. They're going to take out your wizards. Gale is first on the list, as it should be. Your clerics and stuff like that. Character power, we're going to leave as balanced because we don't want the enemies to be overly powerful, and we don't want the characters to be overly powerful either. Enemy loadouts, we're going to turn to tactician because this is going to open up the full gamut, if you will, of stuff that the enemies can use in the game. Like, say, for instance, area effect attacks like alchemist fire, all kinds of great stuff like that. This will allow them to open up that and use that a little bit more, which makes it a little bit more challenging. We're going to leave it a balanced combat mechanics because I think that's pretty smooth sailing. You don't want to make the combat any more difficult than it really needs to be, especially because it's D&D. It's turn-based combat. If you've ever played D&D before and you played turn-based combat, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can be long and drawn out, so you don't want to make the combat any more difficult than what it needs to be. No death saving throws. We're gonna turn that off. So this is right here is the option that I want to point out. Disable free first strikes. So when I first started playing this game, one of the things I understood, or one of the things I found out, was if you go up and sneak attack somebody, you will find that you can sneak attack the person outside of combat, before combat even starts. If you sneak attack the person and then everybody's alerted and combat starts and initiative is rolled, you will find that when it comes around to your turn, you can't do anything because of this option right here. Disable free first strikes, and this is turned on by default. I don't know why Larian turned this on by default, but what it does is it makes it so that if you strike first, preemptive strikes outside of combat, it will prevent you from taking an action on your first turn of combat, which is absolutely ridiculous. Basically, what this option does is it removes the entire point of having stealth gameplay. So if you want stealth builds and you want to, you know, sneak a Starian around and attack people before the combat even starts, you couldn't do that with this turned on. Because he won't be able to go when it becomes first turn of combat, and he's just sitting there for a turn and doing nothing while everybody else is fighting. So we're going to turn this off. It's on by default again. Go turn it off if you want to play a stealth build. If you want to see what the true power of the rogue is in D&D, turn this off, because this is definitely going to change the whole outlook of your stealth builds, your rogue builds, and all that good stuff. Camp cost multiplier, we're going to leave it 1. We're going to leave short rest on full heal off, which is close to the pretty much the core rules of D&D 5e. We're going to talk about short full rests, stuff like that. We're going to get into all that. Trader price multiplier, I'm going to leave at 2.5. Multi-classing, we're going to leave on because we might just multi-class the people. We're going to turn always prompt reactions on. This is an easy way if you're playing this game. If you have a reaction, like Hellish Rebuke, for instance, if you're playing as Will, and you forget, or maybe you don't notice the little icon, the little pop-up that says that you can activate your Hellish Rebuke. If you turn this on, it will always prompt you for every time that you have an opportunity to use a reaction in this game, which is definitely good if you don't know, maybe if you're just learning or whatever. It'll make it so that you can always have your reactions when they're available to you. We're going to hide NPC health because who wants to know all that? We're going to hide failed perception rolls, hide passive rolls and dialogues. And we're going to hide the difficulty class. So all that is, these are the custom options. Like I said, I just jumped right into the game, chose the difficulty, went with it. It was only a couple weeks ago that I actually discovered this even existed in this game. So yeah. I can't imagine how that would feel. Oh my goodness. No, I don't want any. No, sir. Sir, I don't want none. I'll pass. I'll take a rain check. Can I take a rain check? Oh, apparently not. All right. So this is where we're gonna have some fun. So since we're doing a tutorial, obviously, we're gonna kind of break some things down. We're gonna do a custom character because we're gonna kind of walk through character creation. We're going to try to keep these streams a little bit short in the beginning. Again, because this is more of a tutorial purpose. I kind of wanted to do this as a way to not only have a Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough, but also to teach some D&D for anybody who maybe wants to learn. Again, maybe you want to pick up some tips. Maybe you want to pick up some tips on Baldur's Gate 3 or anything like that. We're going to go with... Let's just go with this body for now. We'll do identity male. All right. So, first things first, we're going to switch over. I'll go all the way over here. Anytime that you build a D&D character, this is where you're going to start. These are your ability stats. The easiest way to understand an ability stat is if you were to give yourself a rating as to how good you are in these 6 categories. Strength is your physical strength. It's how strong you are as a person. Dexterity is how maneuverable, how dexterous you are, how flexible you are, and also represents your reflexes. Constitution is how tough your character is. That's what your hit points are based off of. More hit points you have, obviously, the more damage you can absorb before you succumb to that wonderful thing called death. Intelligence is a measure of your book smarts, and all that. Wisdom is your street smarts, and charisma is a measure of how good looking you are, as well as a measure of how you present yourself. So for instance, if you exude confidence, you might be said to have a high charisma score. So if you were to take your real life self and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 18, that is what the ability scores represent. And these ability scores are the foundation of your character, because everything that your character can do in D&D is based off of these ability scores right here. Now in actual 5e tabletop, there's 3 ways to come across these ability scores. Number 1 is there's a point buy system, so you get so many points, and each point of your stats, you could actually spend, like, say 2 points for a ability point or whatever, which is, you know, every once in a while people might do it. I don't think that's the most popular way to do it. The second way of creating your stats or rolling your stats for D&D is this method right here that the game actually utilizes, which is they give you a total of 27 points, and what's actually technically 28, 29, so actually 30 points to put into your stats, and you can divvy them up however you want. The difference between this game and actual tabletop D&D is there's a level cap in this game, 12 levels. So you're going to notice that, first of all, in Baldur's Gate 3, you can never have an 18. 17 is the highest that you're going to be able to get, and the only way that you can get a 17 is to have that +2 bonus up there at the top. Have that in whatever stat you're going to have 17 in. That's the only way to get it. 17 is the highest you could get, and I believe that 8 is the... Okay, it's 10 for that. Yeah, 8 is the lowest you can get for a non-bonus stat. So you got 27 points, you can divvy it up. They do have a recommended section, which will put your stats in. If you look at the right side, depending on what your class is, each class has a recommended max trait. For a barbarian, it's strength. Like, say, for a wizard, it would be intelligence. That's what your magic casting is based off of. For a fighter, it would be strength, because your melee attacks or your ability to use swords and stuff like that is based off of your strength stat. and all that. So depending on what class you want to play, it's also depending on what stats you want where. The third method is actually the method that we're going to use, and it's rolling your stats with a dice. Actually, four dice. I don't have a dice set. I'm working on getting a dice set for OBS maybe, or something similar to those lines. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to roll with my phone because I have a dice roller on my phone. Lovely me. And we're going to roll our stats. So the way you roll stats is the same way you've pretty much always rolled stats in D&D. You're going to roll 4 D6s, which is these normal square Yahtzee dice. You're going to roll 4 of those, and you're going to add up the top 3 numbers, and that's what you're going to get for a stat. Now, as I said, the maximum you could get using that method, obviously the lowest you're going to be able to ever get is 3, because if you roll 3 ones, if you roll 4 ones, you can only take 3, and then you'd only have a minimum stat of 3. Obviously, the highest you can roll is 6. So if you were to roll 4 6s, you take 3 of those 6s. So the highest stat you'll ever be able to get is an 18. So we're gonna roll. Now normally you can roll your stats and then put them wherever you want. We're gonna make this a little bit challenging. I'm going to basically roll right straight down in the middle. We're gonna start with strength. We're gonna roll all the way down, and I'm gonna take whatever stats that I roll. So this is the first step that you would do in creating a character in D&D. So, get my pen ready here. Alright, so my strength is going to be at 12. Dexterity is a 13. Now, the interesting thing with doing it this way for this game is depending on how I roll, if I roll extremely well, obviously I can't go above 27 points. So some of my good rolls are going to have to come down. Conversely, though, if I roll like extremely crappy, some of my rolls would have to come up because it's got to be within a certain range. We're going to have to tweak it just a tad because, again, you only have 27 points maximum. Okay, our Constitution is going to be a 12. Our Intelligence is 11. That's not good. Our Wisdom is a 13. And our Charisma is a 15. That's not too bad. Alright, so let us we're going to take our highest stat, which is 15 Charisma. So we're going to put our +2 bonus in Charisma. And then we're going to make our Charisma a 15. Okay. Second highest stat is a 13 Dexterity or a 13 Wisdom. So we're going to change our +1 bonus to Dexterity. Dexterity, again, is how nimble you are or how reflexive you are, which is what your armor class is based off of. Your armor class is a set number that the enemy has to roll, meeting or beating the number that you have. So, if, for instance, if my armor class is a 13, the enemy has to roll a 13 or higher in order to hit me. So the higher your armor class, the better. The lower your armor class, the easier you are to hit. So we're going to make our Dexterity a 13. Then we have a 13 in Wisdom. We have an 11 in intelligence. We have a 12 constitution. And we have a 12 strength. So doing it this way, as you can see, we have exactly what we need to have as what we rolled. And we have 2 points left over. So I'm going to go ahead and put...
Hey, now.
Yeah, I do.
Get a plus of your scores. Natural plus.
What do you mean, natural plus?
Your gives or your class gives.
Well, I don't know what class I'm going to play at.
Right. Get a natural pluses. Whereas
You don't get, they don't give you no natural pluses. You don't get ability score pluses for this game. You do in tabletop D&D, but you don't in this game.
why I see I said you have a +2. +1.
Yeah, you get 1 +2 bonus for one skill and 1 +1 bonus for another skill.
But it didn't put it in.
Yeah, it's in. +2 bonus, I put charisma. My charisma's a 15.
How you roll it.
I did. That's why I had to finagle it. You gotta finagle it. Because if you roll higher than 27 points, you're going to have to move something down. So I wanted to get the stats exactly where they should, where I rolled them at, and then if I have points left over, then I can add it to whatever. But I wanted to get the baseline.
Just to be fair on rolling style, roll a D6, whatever hits up, whatever stat you put 1 point in. Roll a D6 again, whatever stat comes up, roll the other point in.
I don't know if I'm thinking that you heard him. If you did not hear him, Wolf Cookie M, my friend and wonderful roommate, is suggesting that I finagle the stats, randomize it. I don't like this. All right. So he has suggested that since I have 2 points left over, I'm going to roll a d6 for 1 point. Whatever skill that rolls on is basically where I'm going to put it at. So first one's a 2, so we're going to put 1 point in dexterity. And the second one is a 1, so we're going to put 1 point in strength. And there's my 27 points.
Those ain't too bad of spots, actually.
No, not at all. I don't think anyway.
I believe I'd be constituted. I would have been nice, but it works.
So, just so that we understand, in tabletop D&D and 5e D&D, first of all, there's different things that are going to increase your stats. Every 4 levels, you will have the option to increase a stat. Increase 1 stat by 2 points or 2 stats by 1 point. Also, depending on what race you play in tabletop D&D, you might get, if you play anything other than a human, you are going to get bonuses to your ability scores. Humans are so versatile that they don't get bonuses to their ability scores. Well, actually they do. In 5e D&D, they get a +1 to all of their ability scores, which I can't do because I only get 27 points. But they also get some other things, so they're more versatile than other races are considered to be, and all that. So that's another thing you have to consider. So your stats won't stay the same. You could technically go up. As you go along, you can choose to go up. There are things that you can do that will increase your stats. There are spells that you have that increase your stats and so on. To get an understanding of where your stats kind of rank, a 10 and 11 is considered to be average. So, being that I have average intelligence, as you go up a step from that, a 12, 13, is considered to be a little above average. So I get a +1 modifier from my stats that are 12 or 13. So my strength would be a +1. My constitution would be a +1. And my wisdom would be a +1. 10 and 11 average is +0. That's considered to be straight down the line average. And then when I say +1, that is showing how your stats, your ability scores, play into what you're doing. So let's say, for instance, I roll a stealth check to hide. Okay, so your check is going to be determined by rolling a d20, and then you're going to add your dexterity modifier, which for me, at a 14-15 would be a +2. With d20 +2, plus whatever your proficiency is, that's dependent upon your level and your class. And that is what the roll that you take, and you compare it to the roll of said enemies that might detect you and know that you're there. And if you beat their roll, you are quiet as a field mouse. And if you don't beat their roll, they're going to see you coming from a mile away. And that, quite simply, is how D&D works. It's a number compared to another number, and the outcome of which is just dependent on what number is bigger and by how much. And that is how basically D&D is played. It's very simplistic. So again, a 10, 11 is average. It's +0. 12 or 13 is a +1. That's a little bit above average. 14, 15 is a +2. 16, 17 is a +3. Which we don't have any of. So, and an 18, 19 is a +4, so on and so forth. Now, usually I don't think you can get, there's nothing in the actual book stats that allow you to get above a 20. If you have a DM that's kind enough to allow you to do so, you could probably get above a 20 for that, but you can't get above an 18 to start with, obviously, through, how? Can't get above an 18.
If you roll your stats.
Well, if you roll an 18,
and
yeah.
Then your character gets a +2 to the stat, automatically hit a 20.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. If if you have a plus whatever, again, it's not humans get +1 to everything. So yeah, I take that back. You can roll you can have a 19 stat to start with. You can have a 20 stat to start with if you have the right class. If you're playing the different, not the class, I should say the race. If you're playing a certain races give you pluses to individual stats. So by humans, pretty simplistic. They just get +1 to everything. So if I was playing a human, and the game would let me, which it doesn't, my strength would be a 14 instead of a 13. Dexterity would be a 15. Constitution would be a 13. Intelligence would be a 12. Wisdom would be a 14. And charisma would be a 16. So that is how that works necessarily. So that's where our stats are going to be. And all that good stuff. That is the basic start of building a character in D&D. Once you get the hang of it, it's very simple. You just roll your stats. You automatically know, you'll figure out what to put them in, what they go toward, how they boost certain skills that you're doing, jumping, whatever it is you're doing. Anything you do in D&D is based off of one of these skills. So whether it's stealth, it's based off dexterity. You're trying to perceive something or notice something there or notice something happening, that's based off of perception, which is your wisdom. If you're trying to lie to somebody, that is deception. That's based off your charisma. So you kind of get an idea how you want your character to play, what you want to do with your character, and you can assign your stats accordingly. However, we are just taking them as they roll. So I have a decent wisdom. I have a decent dexterity, decent strength. Constitution's kind of Intelligence is definitely and charisma, at least I can talk my way out of a situation. So that is the first step, creating your character. Now, we're going to back up. to the number 2 best step, greatest step, and that is your race. So how do I want to do this? We're gonna do this. We're gonna what? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 races. So what I'm gonna roll, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll 3 d12s, which is gonna come up with 3 races, and then I'm gonna choose between the 3. The first one is a 9. Which is a gnome. Oh my god. Oh my goodness gracious. That is horrible. Second roll is going to be a 2. So my second choice is a tiefling. Now you don't have to do this. You can play whatever race you want. Try them all. Play through at least once. There's other races besides this. If you get into the expanded D&D books, this is just a basic selection, I believe, out of the player's handbook. All these races should be in there. So if you're interested in trying them out, try them out. My final roll is going to be a 1, which is an elf. So we have a choice between gnome, tiefling, or elf. What do you think?
Oh, 3-sided die.
Oh, 3-sided dice. Come on, give me something good. God damn it. Oh, looks like I'm playing an elf. I rolled a 3. Alright. Alright, so, again, in tabletop D&D, once you select your race, each race has specific little boosts and stuff like that, that they get. Again, if you choose anything other than human, you're going to get a stat modifier, which is your ability score stats. You're going to get a modifier for that. Generally, you're also going to get other things. So for our elf, we get a skill proficiency of perception, so we're automatically good at perception. We have a base racial speed of 9 meters, which is, 30 feet? 9 times 3? 30? Huh?
Yards is 7.
I think it's 30 feet. I think most medium creatures all have a base speed of 30 feet. But this is basically how far you can move in a turn. You get so much movement in a turn. There are things that give you more movement. There are things that take away your movement. It's very easy once you get a hang of it. Again, like I said, once you start getting into the flow of it. We have elven weapon training. You have proficiency with a long sword, short bow, and long bow. So what does proficiency mean? Proficiency means, very simply, in the old ways of doing things in D&D, you would have like attack stats for each weapon. You get pluses. You'd be able to put points into each weapon stat. So like, say for instance, if I wanted to be really good with a short sword, I put points into short sword. And that would be raising up my short sword ability, whilst all my other weapon abilities kind of stayed low on the totem pole. But with this, they came up with the idea of proficiency. So what proficiency means is every level, every class has a specific proficiency bonus for each level, and it goes up as each level. So some classes start at 0 at level 1. Some classes like fighter, I believe, start at 1 at level 1. That's your proficiency. The proficiency is added into everything, added into all your skills. So like I said, if I were to roll a dexterity, if I were to roll a stealth check, roll a d20 plus my dexterity modifier plus my proficiency modifier for my level, whatever it is, depending on my class. So that's what proficiency is. So when you come across something that says you have proficiency, that means that there are certain skills that you're good at, and those are the skills that you could add that proficiency bonus to. If you are not proficient in an item, it used to be, you can't use it, period. If you weren't proficient with it, you can't use it. In this game, it's a little different. It's a little bit more streamlined. To say, like, say for instance, if I'm not proficient in short swords, I can still use short swords, but I can't add my proficiency bonus to them. However, if I'm proficient in it, I can then add my proficiency bonus. So that might be like a +1 or a +2 to whatever it is you're doing as an attack. So your proficiency bonus, and again, it goes up per level. How the higher level, you get a higher proficiency bonus. So if it says you have proficiency with it, that doesn't mean that you can't use it. That means that you're just not good at it. Which is kind of good, because you might find yourself with a weapon or something that you might not be very good at, and that's the only option you have available, so you're going to fight with it. So yeah, that's what proficiency means. That means if I use any of these 4 weapons, long sword, short sword, short bow, long bow, I get to add my proficiency to it. If I were to use, say, a warhammer, which I'm not proficient in, at least I don't think anyway, I can't add my proficiency bonus into that. So that's all it is. It's showing, again, it's allowing you where it never do before in the older systems. If you weren't proficient in it, you couldn't use the thing at all. You couldn't even equip it or do nothing with it. If you equipped it, you would actually take severe negatives to your stats or whatever that you're using with it. I think at one point, I want to say it was a -10 penalty. When you were attacking with something that you weren't proficient in, you would take like up to a -10 penalty. So the system is a lot more simplified. Again, if you're proficient in it, add your bonus. If you're not, you could still use it, but you're just not as good in it as you were. We have dark vision up to 12 meters. Dark vision means we can see in the dark. Obviously, there generally is a difference between dark vision, infrared vision, and low light vision. Low light vision basically is what we would consider normally as night vision. Dark vision means you can see extreme darkness. And obviously there are some creatures that can see in the infrared spectrum, which means you can see body heat. We have dark vision up to 12 meters. Fey ancestry means you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed. Magic can't put you to sleep. So we can't be put to sleep by magic, which is awesome. And we have advantage on saving throws. So first of all, what is a saving throw? Saving throw is a number that you roll against somebody else's attack or a roll or whatever to see if you fend off whatever the thing is. So for instance, let's say somebody tries to cast a spell on me. I would roll my wisdom saving throw against said spell, and if my wisdom saving throw is higher, the spell either A, does not do anything, or it does lesser of an effect as to what it would normally do. Advantage basically simplistically means you roll 2 d20s and you take the higher of the 2 rolls as part of whatever your check is. Disadvantage is you roll 2 d20s and you take the lower of the 2 rolls. So used to be the aspects of D&D were very complicated. Like for instance, using range for a ranged weapon like a bow or arrow or whatever. the farther the range, the more of a penalty that you would take trying to hit your target. So you have a range, say, of like 20 meters for your bow. If you try to shoot 25 meters, you would begin to take negatives for trying to hit things at longer range. And you would have to go through and find out these little differences and nuances and really break it down. Advantage, disadvantage, again, another simplified aspect. Anytime you have advantage over something, you, like, say for instance, you're in a situation that you really, you might not really fail at all or whatever. Like, let's say for instance, you have all your party members helping you out. They're all giving you like a skill boost or whatever. You can say, I have advantage over that. So you would roll 2d20s, take the higher of the 2 20s. If you have disadvantage, say for instance, speaking of dark vision, anything that tries to see something, like say, I try to notice something happening in complete darkness, dark vision, and I don't have dark vision. I would still be able to roll a perception check, but I would do so at disadvantage. So I would roll 2d20s and take the lower of the 2 20s. That's all advantage, disadvantages. So anytime it says advantage, you roll a 2d20s, taking the highest of the 2. And anytime it says disadvantage, you're rolling 2d20s, taking the lower of the 2. I have proficiencies in long swords, short swords, longbows, short bows. We already discussed that. That is part of my elf heritage and all that good stuff. So that is what I get as an elf. Normally, as I said, in tabletop D&D, being an elf would give me bonuses to my stats. But because there's a 12 level cap in this game, I'm not going to get said stat boosts and stuff like that from that. And also, obviously, in this game, everything is done in common language, unless otherwise stated. So you don't have to worry about languages and all that stuff. Depending on what your race is, you speak so many languages and all that stuff. But in this game, we don't really have to worry about that either. As an elf, I do have a sub-race. It could choose to be a high elf, a wood elf, or a wood elf. High elf or wood elf. Heirs of the mystical Feywild, high elves value magic in all its forms, and even those who do not study spellcraft can manipulate the weave. For a wood elf, these elves spend their reclusive lives in Faerun's forests. Decades of training in archery and camouflage are enhanced by an otherworldly swiftness. So, I don't know if it really matters. We take high elf, we get firebolt, cantrip. Cantrip basically is the simplest of spells. You can cast them as many times as you want. There are no spell slots for a cantrip. So if I have a firebolt cantrip, I can cast it as many times as I want. Wood elf has stealth, skill proficiency, and fleet of foot. Fleet of foot means your movement speed is increased by 1.5 meters. So it's pretty simple to understand. We're gonna continue with our nice little aspect of randomness. And we're gonna take 2. So we're gonna play as a wood elf. So we're going to get the skill proficiency in stealth. Again, that's proficiency. The same thing applies. So if you are proficient in a skill, such as stealth, I can add my proficiency bonus, which I get from my class, to my stealth checks. So if I were to roll a stealth check, I would roll a d20 plus my dexterity modifier, which in this case is a +2. And then I would add whatever my proficiency bonus is. I don't know what my class is as of yet. But you would add your proficiency bonus because I am proficient in that skill. If you're not proficient, you don't add the proficiency bonus. And then I have fleet of foot, so that increases my movement speed by 1.5 meters. So I can actually move pretty far in a single turn. So we're going to play Wood Elf. And then we have classes. So if a race is basically what your, your background, your cultural aspect is, your class is basically what you're good at, what you're trained in, basically your job, if you really want to think of it like that, and all that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 classes. We're going to do this exact same thing again. We're going to roll 3. We're going to roll a d12 3 times. And then we'll even go even further. We'll sit there and say, okay, so first is a 12. Uh, 12 obviously is a wizard. Second one is 12 again. We're not going to do that again. We'll just do 6 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Monk. Ooh, that's a good. And last but not least, we're going to do 7, which is Paladin. That's the last thing I need to play. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and roll our D3. So we're going to play a wizard. I rolled a 1. Awesome. Me and Gail are going to get along real good. Perfect. Alright. So, wizard is obviously one of the weaker classes to play, but in 5e it's a little bit easier to play than, say, like it was in previous systems. Some of the rules are still the same. Spell slots work a little bit differently, which kind of gives you a number of spells that you can cast per long rest / short rest. Basically, mainly long rest. We'll get into that later on. So I'm going to play as a wizard to start with, which I have a 13 intelligence. That's my main wizard skill, which my magic spell casting is all based off of that. And we will do that, and I'm going to take a short break and run to the restroom. And when I come back, we will delve into Wizard and continue this little breakdown of 5e D&D. I'll be right back. right. Huh? Yeah, you done fucked it up. All right, we are back. So we are going to be continuing our little breakdown. As I said, if anybody hasn't, I don't know, paid attention to the beginning of this video yet, or the stream yet, I have some people that are would like to get into learning 5th edition D&D. Baldurs Gate 3, I wanted to stream it. Obviously, I normally stream on Twitch. So it's my first foray into YouTube mainly. But we're doing a playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. There's no better way to teach 5th edition D&D than to actually play it, to play the game. So we're gonna kind of use the game as a tool to teach you how to play 5th edition D&D. So if you're interested in getting into D&D, make sure you do. If I would have thought about it beforehand, I would have put a link down into the description for D&D Beyond. You can go Google it, check it out, go look it up. It is a mass database, everything D&D, everything from being able to get digital dice to character creation tools. And if you're a DM, if you want to get into dungeon mastering, they have DM tools as well, including like creating encounters, running your own campaign. You can get your friends together and then connect everything together and all that great stuff. They also have all the books that you could possibly want and need available on the marketplace. So go check out D&D Beyond. I've got my hands on it for the first time this week, and I can't believe it's been out for as long as it has, and I haven't checked it out. That's just absolutely crazy. So, but if you want to get into playing D&D, that's a great place to start. Get your friends together. I've been playing this for over 10 years, as I said. It's great fun, and I think everybody should do it. It helps you get away for a while. That's the reason why I play video games as well. Get away from stuff and just enjoy it and have fun with friends, especially if you get a good group together. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're putting our character together. Obviously, the first step of any creation, any playing D&D is create the character. So we're putting our character together. Again, the game is a little bit different than actual tabletop. The by the book D&D is only 12 level cap. And so things are a little bit different. They kind of had to be finagled down in order to fit into the role. We're going to be playing a elf wizard, which is kind of interesting. I don't usually play. I like to play humans, but we let the dice decide this time. So we're playing an elf. We're playing a wizard. One of the things to pay attention to again with wizards is they are not built for combat. They are built for long-range spellcasting. You will notice this because the hit dice for a wizard, I do believe, is a D6. So what does a hit dice mean? That means that you, at the beginning, at the first level, you would take whatever your hit dice is, which in the wizard's case is 6. You would add your Constitution modifier to it, and that is how many hit points you start the game with. So I have a Constitution of 13, which gives me a +1 modifier. So basically, I'm going to be starting the game with 7 hit points. And we turn this baby up to Tactician level. So this might be a tough playthrough. This might actually be pretty tough for me. But that's one of the things you want to pay attention to. Obviously, you know, you have fighters and stuff that have more hit points to start with. But generally, wizards are long-range fighters. They're not built for up-close combat. You can multi-class them into something that is built more for that. But at the base level, wizards are not fighters. Speaking of which, I just noticed it right there at the bottom of my little stat thing, or actually midway through, right above actions. It says I have 7 hit points. That's exactly what I should have. I also have a +1 initiative. Initiative basically is how quickly you react in combat to determine what the turn order is. The higher your initiative, the sooner you will be able to go in combat. We have a +1 initiative. Initiative is driven from, I don't even know if that's a word, it's derived from your dexterity plus whatever your proficiency bonus is. Remember I talked about proficiency bonus. A wizard has 0 proficiency bonus at first level. So our initiative is basically whatever our dexterity modifier is. That's what we have for initiative. So as you can see, it's +1. So they do have all that down. So wizards are pretty weak at the early levels, and you definitely want to keep that in mind. So that doesn't mean that they can't fight. This just means that you want to take a little extra care to protect them. So as a wizard, I get Fireball, Mage Hand, Ray of Frost as cantrips. Start the game off with 3 cantrips. I know these are spells that I know at first level. You gain so many spells that you know, and you each day, each rest or whatever, you get so many spells that you can prepare. So this is where another difference comes into play from the older systems, stuff like that. The older systems, you had to, you had a spell book, which a wizard they do have in this game. They do have in 5e D&D. You have a spell book, and you basically prepare your spells each day, each rest. You prepare your spells. So if I have all these spells. I have Mage Armor, Fog Cloud, Grease, Thunder Wave, Sleep, Magic Missile, and those are the spells I get. However, I have 1 spell slot. So what does a spell slot mean? Spell slot is basically a way to limit how many spells a wizard can cast. So as a wizard in 5e D&D, you're not going to sit there and spam Magic Missile all day and all night. There is a limit to how much you can affect the weave around you and be able to cast magic. That's what a spell slot represents. So a spell slot, we have a level 1 spell slot unlocked. That means we can cast any of the above spells, any of these spells right here. We could cast any of these spells once per long rest. I do believe it's either short rest or long rest. I'm pretty sure it's might be both. Not sure yet. Not sure. It might be both. It's possibly once per short rest. Most definitely once per long rest. After you long rest, you'll be able to get your spells back. So you can cast any of the spells. These are all the spells that I know, and I can prepare 1 or 2 of them per day, and I can cast 1 for the number of spell slots that I have, which is basically 1. So I can cast one spell 1 time per short rest, or whatever it is. I have Arcane Recovery, so I can get spell slots back. So it sounds a little bit weak, but as you get into the higher levels, you're going to notice that you're going to get more spell slots. You're going to get higher strength spell slots. So the difference between a level 1 spell slot and a level 2 spell slot is the strength involved. So as you get higher levels, you'll be able to cast stronger spells with more devastating effect than you would if you were a level 1 wizard. So basically, we can prepare I think it's 2 spells is what we can prepare to begin with, out of any of the spells on this list. Now this is different than the cleric, paladin, warlock, and sorcerer. So let's talk a little bit more about magic. There's 3 types of magic in D&D. Divine, which is magic that is brought down from your higher deity or higher power, i.e. the type of magic that clerics and monks and paladins use. I believe monks have a deity. I believe their magic is chi. So yeah, paladins and clerics use divine magic. You call upon your holy deity or whatever, For instance, our wonderful Shadowheart, she's a cleric of Shar. So she calls upon Shar's power. Shar grants her the divine magic to be able to do her clerical spells and whatever. A wizard casts arcane magic. Arcane magic is a little bit different. It's tapping into the weave itself. It's almost like using the force. You're tapping into the weave itself and being able to shape it and do what you want to with it. A warlock is their magic is granted through a pact with a higher. Could be a devil. It could be a any number of things. Your magic is granted to you through a deal or a bond or a connection. So, for example, Will, who is a warlock, has a pact with Missoura, who's a devil, right? And she grants him the power to be able to do his warlock stuff. That's where his magic comes from. You're playing as a sorcerer, your magic is natural. It's pure weave. You can do it without training. So the difference, think of a sorcerer as basically a wizard without training. However, the problem is that with sorcerers, there can be negative effects to that. Meaning that if you cast spells that could backfire, you could have unintended effects. I once had a game recently where the sorceress that I was running unfortunately burned down an inn because she rolled a natural 1 on her rolls and burned the inn to the ground because she couldn't cast the spell she was trying to cast. And that is the plague of the sorcerer, so to speak. So the cool thing about playing as a first of all as a cleric, a divine, you have no limit on how many spells you know. So like every class has a spell list. This is the spell list for first level wizards, obviously. And we can prepare 2 of these spells per long rest or whatever. A cleric is very similar. However, they know all of the spells on the cleric list. We can only choose 2 of these to know. We can only choose so many of these. I believe it's 2 that you know at first level. These are the spells available to you. We're going to choose 2 of these, and those are the spells we're going to know and have prepared at first level. So it's kind of complicated, but once you get into it and start seeing it in action, you will be able to figure it out a lot easier. Warlocks are the only exception. They have no limit at all to the number of spells that they can cast. They can prepare or have ready to go. They don't have to prepare their spells. They can just straight up cast it. You have a list. This is what I can cast. Boom, there it is. Whereas a wizard has to have everything prepared. So we'll talk about that more as we go along. I get action, arcane recovery, replenish spell slots while out of combat. You cannot restore spell slots above 5th level. It basically allows me to get some of my spell slots back. Level 1 spell slot unlocked. We also have intelligence saving throw proficiency and wisdom saving throw proficiency. Again, we discussed proficiency before. And we now gain proficiency with daggers, quarterstaffs, and a light crossbow as a first level wizard. So let's go over and choose our cantrips. So again, we have 3 cantrip slots, and we have all these spells down at the bottom that we could choose from. These are the cantrips that we can choose, and these are what we can change out. So we're going to choose 3 of these, and again, you can cast cantrips any number of times per day. So we have Firebolt, Mage Hand, and Ray of Frost selected. We're going to get rid of these. Well, actually, we're not going to get rid of these. We're going to keep Mage Hand. Mage Hand is very useful. Create a spectral hand that can manipulate and interact with objects, which is very useful, especially in certain areas of this game. You're definitely going to want to have this spell. We're also going to take Bone Chill, which is a necromancy cantrip. It's 1d8 necrotic damage. Prevent the target from healing until your next turn. An undead target receives disadvantage on attack rolls. So this is a necromancy spell. We're going to take that. And I believe we're also going to take the 1d12, 1d10. We'll take Firebolt. 1d10 fire damage. So there's our cantrips. And so there are, you see we get 6 spells to choose from out of this entire list. So as a wizard, these are the spells you're going to write into your spell book. And then these are the prepared spells that require spell slots to cast. You got to have the spell slot available in order to cast it. If you don't have spell slots left, you can't cast. And again, it'll be easier once you get into seeing it in action. You'll be able to understand it a little bit better. We're going to get rid of some of these because I don't like these. If you are a wizard, by the way, Magic Missile is your best friend. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It only does 3d4 plus 3 force damage. And it has a 100% hit rate. You cannot miss with Magic Missile as long as the target is within the range that you are casting this baby with. At least as far as the game is concerned. I'm not exactly certain if that's how it works in the book. It could be similar, I don't know. You shoot 3 magical darts as you go up in spell slot level. So again, if you cast Magic Missile at 2nd level, you'd be able to shoot 4 missiles. If you were to cast it at 3rd level, you'd be able to shoot 5 missiles, and so on and so forth. That shows how you increase in power as you're going along. The Magic Missile is your best friend, always and forever. A lot of people like to talk about Mage Armor. Mage Armor allows you to protect a target from attacks, increases my armor class to 13 plus my dexterity modifier. My dexterity is already 13. So I would have a +1. So there's no difference between my current armor class and my Mage Armor. So Mage Armor is pretty useless. So before you take this spell, you want to kind of pay attention to what your dexterity and your armor class is. Because, and you could be in the instance that I am at right now, my armor class normally without Mage Armor is the same as my armor class with Mage Armor. What Mage Armor allows you to do, well, first of all, wizards in 5e are different than the wizards before. Wizards in the previous renditions of games, you were not allowed to wear armor. Armor interfered with your magic casting ability. However, in 5e D&D, that has been rectified, thankfully. Wearing armor does not interfere with your magic casting ability at all. So you can, depending on what your AC is, what your dexterity is, if you're low dexterity, like say for instance I had a 10 dexterity, which is +0. Your dexterity, your armor class at 1st level is basically 10 plus whatever your dexterity modifier is, plus whatever your proficiency bonus is. For wizards is 0. So my armor class at 1st level would be a 13 regardless. If I had a 10, I have a 13, which is a +1, right? So my armor class is 10 plus 1, which is 11, plus whatever my proficiency bonus is. So I would have a, wait a minute. I don't think I made sense there. Yeah, 10 plus your dexterity modifier. If I had a dexterity of 10, that would be 0. So my AC would be 10. And unless I had a proficiency bonus, and then it would become 11. But since I don't have a proficiency bonus, I'm a wizard. My dexterity in this case, my armor class in this case, because I have a 13 dexterity instead of a 10, my armor class is 10 plus my dexterity modifier, which is 1, which makes it an 11, plus whatever my proficiency modifier is. So actually, Mage Armor would basically give me the exact same armor class. No way, it's 13 plus my dexterity modifier. So 14. So Mage Armor gives me a 14 dexterity, or give me a 14 armor class. But you can't be wearing armor. So, Mage armor at first level for wizards will increase your armor class, but the problem is that first of all, it's a spell that must be cast, and if you don't have spell slots, obviously, to cast it, you're not going to be able to cast it. So you're going to be in a fight. If you have no spell slots, you basically now have no armor. So instead of relying on mage armor, even though it's great for a first level wizard, you could just as easily go get yourself some armor and have a 14 AC just like you would casting mage armor, and then it's all the time because you're actually wearing armor and not using mage armor. So again, to be a little bit more clear with what I'm trying to get across here, dexterity, or your ace, your armor class, which again is the number that the enemy has to roll to beat you, to hit you, is 10 plus whatever your dexterity modifier is. So in my case, my dexterity modifier is +1, so I would only have an 11 armor class unarmored. In that case, mage armor would help me because it would give me a 14 armor class instead of an 11. But the caveat with that is, again, is you have to cast a spell. And that's one, it's a spell slot you could use for something else. Two, if you ain't got spell slots, you're screwed. So mage armor is not as good of a spell as a lot of people like to make it out to be, especially in this game. You could easily go without it. Go get yourself some armor. Armor's a dime a dozen. You get yourself some leathers or whatever, and you'll be just fine. You can move up from there. Later on, you can take armor proficiencies. When you get a every 4th level, you get a feat. You can take an armor proficiency and do just as well as if you had mage armor. So we're gonna leave mage armor out. I will take ice knife. 1d10 piercing plus 2d6 cold damage. To kind of keep with our necromancy spiel, we're going to take false life, gain 7 temporary hit points until long rest. Because this is extremely handy, we're going to take sleep, level 1 enchantment spell. Allows you to put creatures into a magical slumber, select targets up to a combined 24 hit points. So first level, all them goblins that only have like 9 hit points, 10 hit points, or whatever, you can put them to sleep. We're gonna take I don't know if I necessarily want Find Familiar. I like Find Familiar. I can call forth a dog. Chromatic Orb does pretty good. That's 3d8 thunder damage, depending on what kind of element you use with it. Let's take Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Leave a creature prone with laughter without the ability to get up for 10 turns. Creature must have an intelligence of 5 or more. The target can try to shake off the effect each time it takes damage. Let's take Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and then let's take okay, we'll take Find Familiar. Why not? I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but we'll take it. All right. Those are the 6 spells that we're going to start the game with. So these are the 6 spells that we know. These are the 6 spells that are written in your spell book. Okay? As a wizard, you gotta have a spell book. You gotta have the spells that you know written in said spell book. The difference between a wizard and a warlock. Warlock is the only individual that does not have to have spells written down in a spell book. You can memorize them right out of your head. And boom, there it is. We got our spells written down. Then we can select 2 of them to prepare. So we can have 2 spells prepared each day. We're going to keep Magic Missile. And let's take Sleep. Alright, cool. So we have 11 backgrounds, keeping with our randomness. We will go ahead and roll a 12. A D12, which is a 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, entertainer. What? I mean, I guess that works. I think the dice are against me tonight. You live to sway and subvert your audience, engaging common crowds and high society alike. Preserving art and bringing joy to the hapless and downtrodden heightens your charismatic aura. I mean, I have a 13. We get skill proficiency, acrobatics, skill proficiency, performance. So we could actually play something to make money, which is awesome. Normally they do have this in tabletop as well. They have a little bit different methodology of utilizing it. You can create your background, flesh your character out. We've already done our abilities. We can now get to our skills. We get 2 proficiencies for first level. We took Arcana, or they gave me Arcana and Investigation. The skills that have the little dots next to them on the right side are the ones that you could actually take according to your class. So we could take Medicine, Insight. Insight is to tell whether people are lying or not, or be able to read people's body language. Religion, Investigation, Arcana. You know what? Let's get rid of Investigation. Let's take Insight instead. And there we go. That's our 2 skills that we start the game with. Alright, so go ahead and do this real quick.
Where to next?
Let's hope the locals are friendly.
Hells, something just woke up down here.
It's a face only a mother could love. Perfect. Looks like it'd be straight out of Skyrim. Look at a little darker tone. Another great thing about elves, if you want to play an elf in D&D, they do not have to fully sleep. They have a trance instead. They don't sleep like normal people. So you would actually, if you trance for 4 hours, you get basically a full 8 hours of rest. It's an easy way to gain your stuff back really quick. Freckled quality, blah, blah, blah. Let's put a little scarring on him. There we go. Let's see. There we go, perfect. We'll give him white eyes. I don't think we need any tattoos. Give him none of that. Gotta have a different hairstyle. Because he's an elf doesn't mean he's gotta look like one. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. Gotta change that hair color. Do a pure white. There we go. Almost a silver. Perfect. Ma. Yeah, we'll just make it my name. There we go. You need a guardian.
You need a guardian. Choose one.
10 million ways to die. Choose one. I don't. Wow. Holy shit. Get rid of that scarring. I'm the only one who gets to have scars around here. We'll go with that. Alright, perfect. Alright, we are ready to venture forth. Okay. I apologize for the technical difficulties. For some reason, the captures froze, and you missed an entire cutscene. But it's great. It's all right. We're figuring things out. I don't know what the heck is wrong with OBS these days. I don't know whether it needs an update or what. But we're gonna call it there anyway. Kind of let the festivities sink in so far. And then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll get into actual gameplay. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll go in and dust everything out and then put it all back together, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be back to where I should be. I don't understand. I've been having that problem. I don't know if it's a 2024 thing or what. We've been having some difficulties and stuff. It's not just here. It's Twitch as well. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but we'll be back and we'll continue our playthrough. We're got to the Nautiloid, so I'm not gonna try and miss anything. Again, I'm sorry about the missing the cutscene. I don't know whether it's the fact that the capture froze in one place for so long. That's probably what happened. It capture locked in. I was sitting on the wizard screen for so long, flapping my lips, that that's probably why it froze. But yeah, we'll come back. Appreciate y'all stopping by and hanging out with us. Hope you get something out of this. Hope you learn a little bit about some D&D. Maybe you get interested in D&D and find yourself a good game and play and all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all as always. If you like what you're seeing, make sure you give us a follow. We greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate all the support and everything. Have a great rest of your morning, evening, noon, night, whatever it is for you out there. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and we will see you next